Hello all, this is Talanos, project lead of the Blightfall mod pack, and I'm here to give you a walkthrough of the first few days of a successful Blightfall experience. You'll have to excuse the quality of my microphone, I'm really making do with whatever I have lying around. You begin in the start area, modeled after a starship. If you were to turn 90 degrees to the right, you would see a friendly blue arrow reminding you that the main plot is in this direction. If you turn another 90 degrees, you find a hallway with a room that has a hidden Easter egg in it, but I'll leave that for you to discover. At any rate, if you continue in the main plotward direction, you run into Mirabelle Hackett, who says right-click to talk. If you speak with her, she'll tell you to get into one of the drop pods to get started. Asking her which one gives you information on the drop pods, she'll also give you advice, and she'll also compliment the player's Minecrafting ability if you speak with her for long enough. Backing up, if you go to any of these drop pods, they'll bring you to a biodome where you can get started with your Blightfall experience. As you can see, each one of them has a different color in front of them, from nice, friendly, and blighting blue to, well, not much color at all. This one, Drop Pod Omega, is further disincentivized with spider webs and almost no light. If you accidentally go into a pod that you don't feel that you're comfortable handling, for example this one that's bright red, speaking to one of the crystals will give you the opportunity to step back and pick a different one after being given an introduction to the pod itself. For this tutorial, we're going to be in Drop Pod Beta. Drop Pod Alpha, which is the blue one, was originally envisioned as being the easiest, but testers have said that Drop Pod Beta is actually easier, and I think that I'm starting to agree with them. We're going to be put in a fertile biodome. It's close to the jungle, there's a village nearby, but there's also water, which eases the exploration quests. Here we are in our drop pod. In our biodome. The first thing that you'll notice is that there's a lot of greenery. Second thing that you'll notice is that there isn't as much greenery outside. You might call it purplery instead. Here, I will sleep so that you can have a better view of what's out there. Now it is day, and as you look outside, the landscape doesn't look particularly inviting. There are sheep there, but trust me, you don't want to interact with them, at least not for a while. In here, however, everything is nice and safe. We have a water block, we have plenty of grass, we also have in our inventory a quest book. Should we lose it, we also have an entire book full of quest books here, so it's not as bad if you lose it. Hello all. Apparently Hardcore Questing Mode does not like my microphone and will mute my microphone when I open up my quest book. So we're going to be doing this without sound because that seems to fix the issue. So, soundlessly, we get into the quest book. In the quest book, you'll see several different quest lines. I'm going to focus on the instructor for now. The first quest that it has us do is something just to teach you how to use the quest book. Send me a dirt block. This actually might cause a problem for some biodomes that don't have as much dirt, but it's not going to be a problem for us. So, we click Manual Submit to send him a dirt block, and we claim the reward. What reward, you might ask? Well, if you look at it, each one of these quests has a mission outlook associated with it. As you do quests, your mission outlook is going to rise, representing that the people on the spaceship think that you're doing a good job in the biodome, and they're happy to support you. You can use this in order to get items from the supplier. Here in the supplier, for instance, we have a request extra life. Now, when you complete this quest, your mission outlook is going to decrease. The more things that you ask for, the worse they think that you're doing, and the more concerned that they end up getting. So that's basically the flow of the quest book. You can buy things from the supplier in order to get them, such as extra lives, and you can complete quests from the other quest lines in order to get your reputation back so that you can buy more things. In this case, this quest, called Requisitioning Items, tells you how to do just that. Why don't you ask for an extra life? Right-click until you get to the crew menu, then click on the supplier to enter Driscoll's menu. Buy an extra life from him, then show it to me, and I'll tell you what to do next. So I just showed you how to do that. We went back, we got an extra life, we now have it, we manual detect, he recognizes that we have it, and we claim our reward. Sometimes, in addition to giving you reputation, they'll also give you some item reward. In this case, a lot of bone meal to help get you started. The important thing about an extra life, they don't do any good unless you eat them. There, I now have an extra life. Next quest is getting wood. He says specifically, I think, let's see, we dropped you in one of the few spots that seems safe. I think it has something to do with the silver tree in the center of your containment area. Better not chop it down. That could be disastrous. Instead, get a sapling from Driscoll. We go back to the supplier, we pick up a starting sapling, and we have an oak sapling. We plant it on the ground, bone meal it until it grows up, and we're back to vanilla Minecraft. Punch tree, get wood. Gee, without sound, this is a good deal more boring. I'm going to have to say random things in order to keep you guys entertained. At any rate, we now have the wood. We assemble the wood into a crafting table. We have the crafting table. Crafting table lets us check off this quest in the instructor. Now, as you can see, it kind of branches into 3 quests. The first quest, a little help here, just gives you bone meal. He'll give you bone meal once per day, every day, 7 of it, just to help get your farm going. The other 2 quests, I need no tutorials and tutorials please, depends upon whether or not you're familiar with Tinker's Construct. One of the important things to know about this mod pack is that all vanilla tools have been nerfed into non-existence. For example, if you were to try and make a wooden pickaxe the normal way, you would find that it completely doesn't work. In fact, if you were to take wooden pickaxe in NEI, and you were to hold your cursor over it and try to get some sort of recipe from it, it's not going to work because it doesn't really exist in this mod pack. That's alright, because as you can see, it cannot be used to mine anything and is only used for crafting anyway. Instead, you need to make tools using the Tinker's Construct mod. If you're familiar with Tinker's Construct, you can go into I need no tutorials. Here, you can just show them that you know how to make a wooden pickaxe and a wooden mattock, and it will pass off all the quests for you. It'll give you 18 mission reputation, which is the same as you would have done by going through the tutorial, and it won't force you to go through a tutorial. If you don't know how to use Tinker's Construct, this quest line is going to be really helpful. Activate it just by sending him a dirt block. Ooh, an apple! So, we have a dirt block, we say manual submit, claim the reward. Now, you'll notice that I need no tutorials has gone away, and instead you have a whole branch of quests teaching you how to use Tinker's Construct. The first one requests that you make blank patterns. Anybody familiar with Tinker's Construct will know that in previous versions of Tinker's Construct, this recipe made 1 blank pattern, well now it makes 4. Those of you familiar with Tinker's Construct might accidentally make 16 patterns. If so, I'm sorry. So we claim that reward, we get into this one, tools to build the parts. Part builder and pattern chest. Part builder is just, I'm gonna need another tree for this. Actually, let's build it further away from the edges so that we have a chance of getting a bigger tree. Yep, bigger tree. So, we take that, we put a pattern on top of it, we get a part builder. We take one of these. Hello, we're back. Sorry to be a whistleblower. Apparently it's not hardcore questing mode that doesn't like my microphone. It's just that it only lets me collect 6 minutes worth of audio before shutting off. Okay, so Shadowplay I guess isn't as great as it's touted as being. At any rate, I built the pattern chest, I built the part builder, we can get in, we can get the rewards for the pattern builder and part builder and pattern chest quest. And at this point, it asks us to actually make the tools, the tool parts. Now, some of you might be saying, well, how are we going to do that if you didn't ask us to make a stencil table? The answer is that in this mod pack, when you place a pattern chest, it comes with all of the patterns in it already. We found that that just made it easier for people to get into Tinker's Construct if they didn't have to mess around with stencils in a stencil table. So, at any rate, we have a pickaxe head, we have wood that does not work because we haven't plankified it yet. There we go. We have a pickaxe head, We have a shovel head. We have a tool binding. We have an axe head. And we have all of the parts that are requested under this quest, so we claim the reward. Next, we are asked to build a tool station. That's alright, that's not that hard. It's just one of these guys with a pattern on top, and we have a tool station. Next, we need to actually make the tools. You do that by clicking on one of these tools up here in order to see what you need in order to build it. In this case, it's a wooden pickaxe head, a wooden binding, and a stick for a pickaxe. And for the mattock, you need a wooden axe head, you need a wooden shovel head, and you need a stick. So at this point, we can claim the reward. As a reward for this quest, we get a book called Tools and Modifiers. If you open it up and look through it, you'll see that it's basically identical to Materials in You Volume 2 by Skyla from Vanilla Tinker's Construct. The difference is that this doesn't have any materials in it. The reason for that is that in this mod pack there are so many materials that they no longer are all listed under Materials in You. Instead, we have these other books that you can pick up. These ones show you all of the materials that you can get in several volumes organized by category. The reason for this is that there are a lot more materials. Like in Vanilla Tinker's Construct, you couldn't do anything with nickel. Or, for example, the steel or silver from Metallurgy 3. It tells you more information about the materials as well. For example, whether or not you can make armor out of it, whether or not it requires a smeltery in order to make, how much XP it requires to level up, because tools can level up in this mod pack. Different materials have different rates at which they level up, that sort of thing. So, with that in mind, we'll just stick these books on our bookshelf now. And now we have two more directions that we can go in the instructor. We can either get a loaf of bread or we can tech up. One of the things that you'll notice is that stone and wood cannot mine coal any longer. Instead, you'll need flint. Luckily, most of the biodomes have some supply of gravel just pretty easily within reach. That's not the case for all of the biodomes. Let's see, other things. Let's go into farming for now. How do we get bread and how does food work? Well, first off, we don't have vanilla hose, so instead we've got to use Tinker's Construct mattocks. They work the same way. We just right-click in order to get tilled landscape. Second thing is seeds. There are multiple ways that you can get seeds. The first is standard Minecraft way, run around and punch grass. If you run out of grass to punch, you can use bone meal in order to make some more. The other way that you can get seeds is by requisitioning them from Driscoll. Remember how I said that you can get extra lives here? Likewise, you can get trees, food, seeds, and eventually you can get all sorts of things from Driscoll. In this case, let's get a seed bag, let's open it up and look at it, and we get cocoa beans. Things like that. The seed bags contain random seeds. Occasionally they're useless, like normal vanilla seeds, or you can get cool things like potatoes, carrots, melons, pumpkins, that sort of thing. At any rate, when we plant the seeds, we use bone meal on it. One interesting thing about this mod pack is that when the plants are fully grown, you don't need to punch them in order to harvest them. Hey guys, sorry about that. I thought I had it all planned out, and then for some reason my microphone lasted exactly 5 minutes before it died. At any rate, so we're bone mealing plants. One interesting thing about this mod pack is that you no longer need to punch wheat in order to get the wheat from it. Instead, you can just right-click it and it harvests. No, my wheat. Okay, so when we have this, we can just keep right-clicking it and getting lots of wheat from it, which I guess a lot of it washes down the drain. I'll go get that one too. So you might say, alright, well, but if we right-click on stuff in order to harvest it, then how do we get seeds? The answer is that you can put seeds in your, you could put wheat in your crafting grid and get seeds back out of it. At this point, we can expand our farm a little, like that. So with this wheat, we can go back and we can make ourselves some bread. One of it we can turn in for a quest reward, the other of it we can eat. One of the things that I want to point out about this, though, is that if you look, it says diminishing returns start after eating any food a certain number of times. We can eat it, and it will give us benefit, but if we eat too much of the same food, then it's going to end up causing us problems. I would demonstrate this, but unfortunately I cannot, because it won't let me eat any more bread because I am not hungry. In order to eat bread so that I can demonstrate it, I need to run around in circles and jump upside down in order to make myself hungry. This makes me look like an idiot, so I think I'm just going to cut to when we finish doing that. I'll see you guys in just a sec. Hello, we're back. I have run around, I have jumped a lot, I have acted like an idiot off camera where you could not see me, potentially also on camera. This is my first time I've ever done anything on YouTube, can you tell? At any rate, we now have this bread. If you look, it says nutritional value 12.5%, zero hunger. The more you eat of food, the less effective it gets. At this point, if we were to eat again, I guess I do need to jump around a little because I'm still not hungry. There we go. If I were to try and eat it again, my Minecraft character is like, "No, don't make me eat the bread!" He'll eat it, eventually, if you hold down the right mouse button for long enough, but he won't like it, and he won't get anything useful from it. This is because the past 6 things I've eaten is bread, and he is so sick of bread, he's just not having it. At this case, this is why getting that apple was such a happy, fortunate thing. If you look, this isn't giving me much value because I've eaten it so much, but this apple, they'll just slicker it right up. There we go. However, if I were to eat another apple, then it would also be less effective. It keeps track of the last 12 foods that you've eaten. Because of that, it's good to have a varied diet. After eating something 2 or 3 times, it becomes not useful, so if you have 4 or 5, maybe even 6 different foods to cycle through, it ends up being really useful. That way, you can just rotate between the foods that you eat, and hunger ceases to be as much of a problem. As it stands right now, if all we have to eat is bread, then we're basically going to starve to death while surrounded by stacks and stacks of bread. So what happens if all you have is stacks and stacks of bread and you are starving to death? If that's the case, then you can go into the supplier and you can ask Corporal Driscoll for food. Here, under Request Food, which has a cost of 4 reputation points, you get all of these different kinds of foods. When I claim this reward, I now have 6 different types of food, all of which I have 2 or 3 of, and they're really helpful for clearing out your last 12 foods eaten. After eating these things, you can go back to eating bread and it'll be just fine. The thing about each of these foods is that each one of them only restores you by a half of a ham hock, a half one of those little hunger bars down there. So, I mean, really, this is only enough to fill up your food bar from empty to full once, but it clears out your buffer so that bread becomes useful again, which is why it's there. So now what? You've got food, you've got tools, you've got a rapidly becoming more and more dangerous hostile biomass outside. What do? Well, if you open up the quest book, you can see that all sorts of quests have opened up at this point. The geologist wants you to collect rocks for him. The scout wants you to put yourself in mortal danger by exploring the world map. The paranormalist wants you to find him iron. The colonist wants you to make cookies because people on the Jaded are sick of bread. The xenobiologist wants you to go and collect muck for science. At this point, it's really up to you what you want to do. Just a couple of words of warning. First off, outside is very dangerous. If I stand on this purple gunk for too long, then it's going to end up poisoning me. Yep, there we go. Those sheep over there, you can think of them as kind of acting like zombies, only they're faster and they have more health and they have more armor. Outside can be a pretty dangerous place. Other things that you want to keep in mind, you cannot mine coal without first getting a flint pickaxe head. That's just part of the gating system of Iguana's Tweaks to Tinker's Construct, which I have incorporated into the mod. Luckily, most biodomes start you with a good supply of gravel that you can go through in order to find flint. Not all of them. Again, the easier biodomes tend to have more streamlined progression. The later ones, like the desert one or the one where you start underwater, require a little more creativity when it comes to teching up. Let's see, those things are dangerous. If you get too close to them, they will spawn lots of little spiderlings to gank you and kill you. Trying to think of what else, if there's anything else I need to tell you before starting. Nope, I don't think so. I think, oh yes, this thing. If you have been wondering what this thing is, let me explain it to you. This is a transporter beacon. When you right-click on it, you will see that it says that the transport is unlocked down here. Transport to Biodome Beta now unlocked. If you ever find any more of these things in the world, if you right-click on it, it will set up a teleportation network where you can teleport between this crystal and any other crystal you found in the past. That way, if you do one of these scouting quests that can be really difficult, then once you get there, you don't have to make the return trip. You can just use the teleporter crystal near there and teleport back. Another thing to keep in mind is that because running across the landscape is poisonous and deadly and things like that, I recommend that when you start doing quests, you use the water as much as you can. Build a boat, hop in the boat, sail around, and you will no longer need to worry about as many mobs following you and trying to kill you, or about stepping on poisonous material. I think that with the end of this second Minecraft day, this is going to be a good spot to stop. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the mod pack.